Hello.
Hello.
When you kind of imagine the far north Highlands of Scotland,
Yeah.
what picture comes to mind in your head?
Icebergs.
Like this? Or maybe this? Mine would be this.
Let's be lovers tonight.
It's his birthday today.
Whose?
Happy birthday, Lewis.
Oh, God.
Fancy a cuddle?
He Googles him every day.
He has social media and we follow him and he follows us. I can't concentrate on what I'm reading. Oh, I'm all flush now. One image I never thought we'd have of the far North Highlands of Scotland was a heat wave.
I know.
27 degrees we had last week. You know what he's saying in that other country? Oh, 27 degrees is nothing. It's 200 degrees Celsius here.
You broke it.
Just up the road from here in Altnahara, they once got down to minus 24.3 Celsius. It was the coldest place in Britain. But they had the recent highest temperature at near 28 degrees Celsius. That's a difference of like 50 odd degrees, isn't it?
That's just amazing.
It's amazing. And I know it gets higher in places. It was 40 degrees in England last year.
Yeah.
But you get acclimatised to the colder weather up here. So when it's 27, 28, it feels more like it would down south at like 35, 36, doesn't it? And the wildlife's not used to it. Even the little roe deer were coming into our little wood for a cool down. The wildlife cam's got some brilliant shots of the little buck roe deer and his doe.
Doe. A deer.
A female deer.
Yeah.
There you go. We've got a lot of things to show you this week. We've got new bees. We've got a queen bee.
We have.
There's a story attached to that. Not like literally attached to the bee. You know, like dragging it round like them aeroplanes drag them advertisements. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All day breakfast, €5. Some new chickens, and we've got some video of Shaun cutting the chickens' wings off.
No, I have no flight feathers.
Frying them in batter.
No.
We did get some new chickens a few days ago. He built a new coop for them and he met them off the train down at the station, didn't you?
We got off the train, yeah.
Brought them home and they were all nervous in the back of the car in the crate and looking all scared. Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? Because they're kind of lost. And then Shaun couldn't get in the crate to let them out. Once he did get in, we introduced them to the nice new wooden chicken coop.
We did.
I love the smell of wood on a morning, don't you? What? Is that funny? When do we get to the bit where you mutilate them?
Oh, you got to leave them a few days to settle in first before you start manhandling them.
Right, while we're waiting for them to be manhandled, I'll show you what we did with the bees. Hello and welcome to Shiny Head Day. It's 27 degrees up here in the far north of Scotland. Luckily, my white suit is reflecting a lot of the sun, although it is very warm under here. Enough about me. We've got two jobs to do today. Hive 3, I think, is queenless. It hasn't got a queen in it for some reason. Now, I checked about a week ago, no queen, no sign of a queen, no eggs, no brood. If there isn't a queen in there today, or no eggs or anything, and it's been 7 days, then it means that it's queenless, hopelessly queenless, I think. So I'm going to go in there and check once more. I'm going to check for any queen cells to see if they're growing a new queen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a new mated queen. Now, if there is some queen cells in there, it means they're raising a queen, but it could be ages. It could be a couple of 3 weeks or more before she emerges from the queen cell, goes out and gets mated and starts laying eggs of her own. And I don't really want to miss that 2 or 3 weeks. I'd rather put a mated queen straight in there, give it a couple of days and get the process moving along a bit quicker. But I have to make sure that there's no queen in there, because if there is, there'll just be mayhem and one will get killed. We don't want that. Once I've done that, I've got a brand new colony of bees, a nucleus of bees, and that's going to go just on the space. That's where the nucleus is going to go. They're going to sit there in the box that they've arrived in for a couple of days, and then we're going to transfer them into their new hive. This is just a strap. We keep this to stop the deer and the badgers from trying to knock the hive over to get to the honey inside. Going to give them a little bit of smoke, just try and keep them calm. So this first frame, you can see lots of glistening inside the honeycomb. That's nectar, and then you can see the honey, which is the capped honey stores around the edges. No sign of the queen on that one. I didn't expect to see her on that one, to be honest. I think if she is in here, I'm going to see her on one of the frames that's got brood on there. So what have I found out? Well, there's definitely no queen in that hive. How do I know that? Well, one, I didn't see her, and I looked through every single frame. I shook the bees off the frames. I didn't see any queen cells, swarm cells. There's not a single sign of any eggs or any larvae, and there's very, very little bits of capped covered brood, which could be sort of 2, nearly 3 weeks old. And I haven't seen the queen in a couple of weeks. So I'm confident that there's no queen in that hive. But what does that mean? If there's no new brood to grow, the hive will slowly die, and I don't want that. So what's the answer? This is the answer. This is a mated queen. And she's in there with a couple of worker bees and a little bit of fondant on this side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce this queen to that hive by placing it in between 2 frames. I'm going to leave her there for about 48 hours, and then I'm going to release these tabs on the end of this little cage, and they'll chew through the fondant and she'll be able to get into the hive. Now, because she's already mated, she can start laying eggs immediately within a few days, and the hive should come back to life really quite quickly. So here's the new queen. I'm going to put her, without squishing any of my own bees, just in between these 2 frames. And I'm going to leave her there for 48 hours. And let's just see if the bees that are in there start paying her some attention. They're going to be very nosy as to what's going on. I was kind of surprised when I first went in the hive, because you hear stories that queenless hives tend to be quite angry hives. So when I first opened it up, I was expecting a lot more feistiness than I actually got. And when I was going through the first couple of frames and found that they were really calm, I was probably more expecting to find a queen because they were so calm. Hello. I think as I got to about 5, 6, 7 frames in, and there was just no sign of new brood, eggs, larvae, anything like that, I was kind of more suspecting that there was no queen, which is what I suspected about a week ago. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's now sorted. Hopefully within a week or 2 we'll start seeing eggs and new larvae, and it's already quite a healthy hive, and hopefully it'll be a really healthy hive, and we're going to start seeing honey, because they are starting to draw out the frames in the super box above the brood box. So I'm actually feeling really positive about that hive. Right, next job then. Behind me, on my right hand side, you can see the 2 concrete slabs on that pallet. That used to be where hive 2 was. You remember the hive that swarmed late last summer, and the numbers that were left in there weren't quite enough to make it through the winter, and the colony died. So I've taken that hive away, blowtorched the brood box, and we're going to use it again for a new colony in a couple of weeks. But I've actually got a new colony of bees today, and what we're going to do is we're going to put that colony in its place before we transfer it to a new hive. And there they are. Now you might have noticed that the box looks a little bit different, quite a lot different from the other hives I've got here on the apiary. And that's because that's the box that they came in. It's a nuke box. And it's only got a few frames in it. It's not the permanent home. But what I need to do is get the bees to basically familiarise themselves with the surroundings, to know where they live. And once I open that door, they're going to start flying out and getting used to the surroundings, and they'll know exactly where they live, so they'll know where to come back to. And then this time tomorrow, because it's nice and warm, it's going to be at 24 degrees again tomorrow, I can move the nuke box, put their new hive in its place, transfer the frames over, and the bees will then know where they live, so they know where to come back to when they go out foraging. It was proper roasting under that bee suit. And the thing is, because it looks all, what's the word, it's not perforated, you know, where it's like a mesh.
Like a mesh,
so
yeah.
the air can get through it.
Yeah.
You'd think that it was like well ventilated.
You would think so, yeah.
So I thought, well, if I don't wear anything underneath, I could get like a breeze up me gusset. Do you know what I mean? Just to, you know what I mean, don't you? Just to keep me cool and stop me from perspiring as much as I was.
Up your gusset?
Because it was literally dripping, and not in a good way off me. So I did try without any clothes on, but I thought I'll check, and stood in front of the mirror, and like James and the Giant Peaches were like, hello. So I ended up putting some shorts and a top on. Just for you, that's how much I care.
They'd like to see it.
Speaking of cocks, shall we see how Shaun mutilated his chickens? Why are you walking around with a pair of scissors looking menacing?
Because it's time to cut the flight feathers off the new hens. Stop them flying out of the enclosure.
Cut the flight feathers so you're cutting the wings off?
No, just the feathers, just the tip, just the feathers, the flight feathers.
Does it not hurt?
Not at all. It's like cutting your nails.
Last time you cut my nails, you made my fingers bleed.
Just because you wouldn't stay still. And if I show you here, this is one of the original hens that's already been done, and she's wriggling a bit. And if I show you, just spread her wing there, you can see that they've been trimmed down, just the flight feathers taken off. There you go, Gil. And it stops them flying over the fence. There you go, not too bad, was it? Just makes them jump, but it doesn't hurt them.
You sure she can't feel?
Yeah, positive. Put you back in there. This is one of the new hens. She's about 6 to 8 weeks old, and she'll probably start laying eggs in a few more weeks' time. First ones will be small, but then after that they'll be okay.
How many times do you have to do that then?
Maybe once a year, twice a year, I don't know. It depends how quick they grow.
And what do we do with the feathers that you cut off?
I just left them there, they'll use it as bedding.
Can't we like collect them all up and make like his own wings and go flying?
Yes, you could, Colin.
Right, 24 hours had passed since I put the new nucleus in its position, so it was time to move them from the poly travel box into the proper hive. So the plan, now the bees are aware of the surroundings and they know where they live, I'm going to close the entrance to that temporary hive. Then I'm going to move the nuke box to one side and put their new permanent hive in its place, with the entrance and the exit in exactly the same place. So any bees that are out already foraging will come back to that same place and they'll go straight in where they think is their home. All the bees that are in the box are going to be transferred over, so I'm going to transfer all the frames one by one in the same order it already is in that box, but into the new hive. So I've taken the screws, keeping the lid securely on so that it didn't come off in the postman's van. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Just going to give them a really light puff of smoke. Not much, just a tiny little bit. I don't want to stress them out too much. I want to be able to see what's going on in there. So in here, we've got 6 frames like this called DN4 frames. What I'm going to do is transfer those frames in the same order they are in this box into this hive. So I've got to take some of these frames out to make room for them. While I'm doing it, which I'm going to do as carefully as I can, I'm going to be looking on each frame to see if I can see the queen. She should be in here somewhere. Right, let's give it a go. What I'm going to do first is just check the lid, make sure the queen's not on there. She's not, there's only a few bees, maybe a dozen or so bees on there. Next step is I'm very carefully going to separate these frames so I can lift them out one at a time without squishing or hurting any of the bees. So really carefully, trying not to drop any bees. I'm going to have a look, see if I can see the queen on this one. Okay, no sign of the queen on this one, but lots of honey and lots of nectar, so well fed. We've got a few bees left in the box. What I'm going to do is just very gently knock the box to knock the bees into the new hive. Well, we found her. She must have been hiding in the box and not on the frames. There she is with the yellow dots on her back, and it's really good to see her. I tell you, I'm going to put that back in nice and gently. So now I'm going to cover them up and I'm going to get a feeder because they're going to need some food to help them draw out these new frames. One thing I did notice about this new nucleus of bees is how calm and gentle they were. Yeah. If you'd been stuck in a heavy-duty polystyrene box for 24 hours, what would be the...
What, again?
What would be the first thing you'd want to do when you let out after you've had a wee and a poo? What?
Have a drink.
You'd want to have a go at the person that locked you up, wouldn't you? Or any person.
Well, yes.
But no, they came out and they were all flighty and having a laugh and...
Having a laugh?
Yeah, flying about, saying hello and that. And really, Captain, they didn't try to sting me once.
Wow.
And I like that. And where I got the bees from, they were from Black Mountain Honey. You remember Lawrence?
I do.
From a few weeks ago. Well, we've been talking, and so I thought, well, I'll get some bees from Lawrence because he said they're nice and gentle, and they really are. I'll put a link to his channel down in the video description. It should be up above Shaun's head as well if you want to have a look and check out Lawrence. He's really good with bees, and I learnt a lot from Lawrence and a couple of other people. And we might be getting some more bees from Lawrence soon. Might be.
Might be.
Anyway, moving on, the next thing to do was to get that queen out of her cage and let her into the hive.
Just like you.
It's been a busy week for me and the bees. The day before yesterday, I introduced the new queen to the grub hive, Steve and Caroline's hive. If you remember, she was in that small plastic cage. Now she's got to stay in that cage for 48 hours, and it's been 48 hours. So I'm going to go in there, I'm going to take the cage out, I'm going to break a little plastic lug from the cage, and then the bees over the next few hours will eat away at the fondant and release the queen. Now it's a little bit cooler today, a little bit breezier. It's still about 20 degrees, so I'm fine opening the hive. Let's see how it goes. So here they are. No aggression at all this morning. So I'm going to take this cage out. You can see the bees around the cage. They obviously like the queen. So as you can see, the queen's in there. She's the one with the little red dot on her back. And you can see the fondant down towards this side of the cage. And all I'm going to do, careful not to squish any bees, is you can see these little tabs on the back. I'm just going to break open these tabs like this, and then the queen and the other bees will be able to eat their way, there we go, eat their way through that fondant on both sides, and the queen will be able to emerge from that cage and she'll be free in the hive. So we're going to pop this back in the hive now. Back in that same position it was before. Just careful not to squish any bees. Come on, sweetheart. There we go. I'm going to put it back in the same place, and she can slowly make her way out of the cage. Come on then. There we go. Now that's done, just going to put the covers back on. Then I'm going to leave them now for about a week. I'm going to inspect them again in about 7 days, and hopefully by then I'll start to see the queen walking about the frames, and even better would be some eggs and larvae on the frames too. So they're all sorted.
Yes.
New queen in the grub hive.
Yes.
New colony in the Black Mountain honey hive.
Yes.
That's got a ring to it, hasn't it?
It has.
We'll be putting plaques on those. We've got a couple of new hives that have been adopted too.
Ooh.
So some new plaques coming on those. If you want to adopt one of our beehives, some details down in the video description. While you're down there, in the video description. No, in the video description. Thanks to everybody who leaves comments.
Yes.
It's really nice to see that you're loving the bees and the chickens and Sherlock and Ollie and Otis and the badgers and everything. So feel free to leave comments down in the video description.
Can I feel free to block them?
Does mean a lot. Speaking of Sherlock, that's where we are at the moment.
Yes.
It is coming on. We're waiting for concrete to set.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit more progress in a week or two. But that's it for this week.
It is.
If you've enjoyed the video, and if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Give us a thumbs up. If you hit the wibbly wobbly bell, YouTube will tell you every time we release a new vlog. I don't know how they do it. I assume they send like an email or a notification. But I have this vision in my head that they actually send somebody around with a tray. Do you know what I mean? You know, like the fish man. And they can kind of say, there you go, Foxes Afloat have got a new video out. And do you know what I mean? And then they come back the next week and take it and give you the new one. That'd be ace. That somebody should do that.
I really wonder where his mind goes sometimes.
I'm going to go and work on that now. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Hello.
Hello.
What do you get? What? I don't know. That's a good start, isn't it?
Well, I've been doing it 30 seconds. This following and stalking.
I don't stalk people anymore. Blimey, how shiny were I in that last bit?
You say stuff and I ain't got a clue what's going on.
Now, if I do this in one take, it'll be funnier than if I have to do it in 3. It was absolutely roasting.
Roasting?
It's like that roasting tin, isn't it? I knew I'd get it wrong.
You see?
In that tin, I was going to say there.
In that tin?
Because I was talking about roasting tins. Speaking of cocks, shall we show you? Shall we show you? I've missed it again. I missed the thing. 3. We spent an hour fighting the chickens, clipping the feathers, the flying feathers.
Flight feathers.
So that they can't fly out of the chicken coop.
Yes.
But then what happened?
She got under the gate.
I'd like to be a breeder. No, like a bee breeder. What did you think? 3, 2, 1.
You can't say things like that.
3, 2, 1. People will wonder why every time I say 3, 2, 1 you start laughing. You've seen Lawrence on one of our videos.
They were going so well. Worms.
Yeah, we've got worms. They don't half itch as well.
Oh. That's what I'm going.